Hi guys, and welcome to Marketing in the Madness. Now, if you're a regular listener, you'll know I've been mixing things up a bit recently, and today is no different. You're coming with me to one of our amazing events that we did with Contentful. And I have to say this, although I probably shouldn't, it was one of my favourite events that we delivered in 2024 because not only was it fun, different, it actually was talking about a subject which I know you guys are going to be really, really interested in. It's all about AI and personalisation. So let me give you a bit of context. We're actually going to the Bake Off tent today, guys. This event was a really fantastic, immersive experience because not only did people come and listen and learn about AI and personalisation when it comes to their digital strategies, but also they got their sleeves rolled up and baked some cakes together. So we got 24 amazing digital and marketing leaders in a room together, baking together to create cakes that kind of represented them and their brands, as well as learning together. So before we got into the Bake Off tent, we had 4 amazing speakers, and this is what you're going to listen to now. Sorry you don't get to see all of the Bake Off stuff, but you will see some of it. So we kick things off with the fantastic Charlie Bell, who is the Senior Director at Contentful, and he was interviewing a fantastic panel of 3 amazing panelists. First up, Andy Kaiser, who was the CEO of Ninetailed, which has recently been acquired by Contentful, an amazing piece of technology which now pairs AI and personalisation with the Contentful platform, and 2 amazing brand leaders. These are both women that I absolutely love. So Rachel Neath, Senior Product Manager for Eon Next. She's actually been one of my mentees. She was discussing how they're doing some really clever things when it comes to personalisation for their customers and the importance of really thinking about how you personalise your content to your different customers. And the amazing Charlotte Todd, who at the time was e-commerce director at British Gas, but previously she has so much retail experience at some of my favourite brands actually. So Ukes, Net-a-Porter, Nails Inc. and Misguided. So she was really able to delve into how various different brands have been personalising their content to get fantastic results. So you guys are in for a real treat today. You're going to have fun with us. It's a slightly different podcast episode, but one that I think you guys are going to learn a lot from. It's a bit of a different format. I hope you like it. We're going to keep mixing it up because, I like to try new things. So without any further ado, let's go off and attend Contentful Does Bake Off.
Hi guys, welcome to Contentful Does Bake Off. Come on in.
So we wanted to develop something that was different, that was fun, that was immersive, that actually got people talking, got them working together and building real relationships. It's about creating something that's fun, that's immersive, that's really human.
Offering something that is immersive and a little bit different and enabling, sellers to be elbow to elbow next to their prospects and their customers. That's where the real engagement happens, and that's, true conversation comes off the back of that.
Thank you all for taking the time to come and spend with us about this baking thing. It's a unique thing. I'm so excited to be here, and I think it's going to be great fun. We're not going to do a massive sales pitch for you at the moment. We're going to talk a little bit about our technology, just a little bit, but the most important people here today are our special guests on the panel who are going to share some of their experiences with personalization and stuff that I think you'll find very interesting and at least worth your time for coming along, as well as the baking, which we're all looking forward to. So if I can set some context here, Laura, where's Laura from our marketing team? Laura and I were discussing this event, and as pure luck would have it, literally the day after, on November the 18th, Forrester Research published a report where they said, we were talking about DXP, digital experience platforms, of which I think we're all reasonably familiar with. And they used a cake analogy. And so Laura and I were basically like, yes, that's great. Then we could doing our work for us. And so the thing that they were talking about was about digital experience platforms. And the authors said, providing a DXP that is composable. That's the title of the article. But the cake analogy that they made was talking about software vendors who talk about composable DXPs. And they were talking about tech buyers, people in your role, people who look at technology, people who use technology. And you know that the flour is not the cake is the cake. And so this is not my analogy, by the way, so if this is a bit stretched, you have to bear with me. I'm paraphrasing what they said. But fundamentally, where we're at in technology, and where we're at with the adoption of technology and the way that people are using technology nowadays, is that they are using components to put together their digital experience platforms. And we are the flour in the cake, if you like. Contentful are the flour in the cake. But if we extend that a little bit, if we look at the adoption of technology and the way that people are using things like personalization, we're starting as a company to own a little bit more of that cake, because we now have a platform called Ninetailed, which we acquired a few months ago, which adds personalization into our content platform. And personalization is the key theme that we're going to be talking about today. And so that's why I brought a panel of experts with me. Well, I didn't bring them, Laura brought them, but we brought a panel of experts with us today, and I'm going to introduce them, and we're going to explore the concepts, the key concepts of technology. So that's enough from me for this point. I'm going to introduce our panel. So starting immediately on my right, I have Charlotte Todd. Charlotte, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, of course. Hi, I'm Charlotte. I am a marketing, digital and strategy director. I've most recently been at British Gas, which isn't the most sexy of brands, but prior to there, and what I'll probably talk about in detail today, is more of my retail experience, which has been at Net-a-Porter, or the Ukes Group, Nails Inc., Misguided, Reese, LMS, and a company called Chaos. So all very, very heavily focused in terms of kind of tailoring unique personalized experience, both online and offline.
Fantastic. Next to Charlotte, we have Andy Kaiser. Now, Andy, you are a recent Contentful employee because you are the founder and CEO of Ninetailed. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about Ninetailed and you and your role?
Yeah, so first of all, thanks for having me here, being part of the Contentful family, co-founder and ex-CEO of Ninetailed, now also VP product for Contentful, because there's a lot in the roadmap around personalization, experimentation, and how to manage AI, how to manage data. And shortly about Ninetailed, I think why I'm here is because we are big believers about having like the right ingredients to make the great cake, and these right ingredients at the end is technology. It's like how you combine this technology, and I always say it's really about the technology, but the most important part is the data to fuel the technology, and the most important part is what we always forget is generating value to our end customers, to the people behind the screens in a digital world.
That's great. We're going to come back to that in a minute. Rachel Neath from Eon Next.
Yep, hi, nice to meet you all. I'm a senior project manager on the digital team at Eon Next. I work predominantly with energy usage journeys, so that's helping customers to better understand their energy consumption so that we can make changes to hopefully lower our bills and our environmental footprint. But across the digital team, we also have a large shift towards personalising all of our journeys. So for example, if you're a customer in debt, you probably don't want to see a message about £10,000 solar panels. So we work a lot in that area. Prior to that, I was at Vodafone in digital identity, and I worked across 13 markets there. I can also talk a bit about internationalisation, because the customers in Africa are very different from the customers here, which meant personalising the flows for them. So I have quite a bit of experience across different areas in digital.
Fantastic, thank you. Well, one of the things that the Forrester research said is that tech buyers want to have more in the box. They want to do less DIY. They want to be able to buy more from a single vendor, but without having to do that heavy integration, that costly integration. And when Contentful, when we looked at Ninetailed, that natural fit in terms of personalization, the fact that it was already embedded into our platform made it a natural fit for us as a company to acquire. So Andy, if I can come to you first, can you talk to us about some of the success stories that you had as Ninetailed that led to you becoming the company that was attractive to Contentful?
So first of all, I think we have multiple success stories, if not, I would say, more than 90% of our customers. And the reason behind it's like really as we said, how we are integrated into Contentful, but really it's like how we approach the product and how we approach data, as I said. And looking for example, into like a success story, I always remember one of our first customers, which was Ruggable, or is Ruggable. And the interesting thing there is they sell rugs online, and they have this, rugs for the kitchen, rugs for outdoor, because you can wash them and so on. So they have a great product, and on top of that, they have kind of like a personalized product, because they have all kind of designs. They have Disney rugs, they have Marvel rugs, they have Star Wars rugs, and so on and so on. And on the other hand, they are also expanding about internationalization, because they approached us when they were opening the market here in UK, also the market in Germany. And now they have expanded to multiple countries, including, I think it's Korea. So the point is like, there is this complexity about like, how can I really give the best experience to all these kind of different audiences? And I always say it, for example, regarding internationalization or localization, it's kind of like personalization, because it's one specific audience for a specific area or a localization, and you have to give them the special experience. And in the case of these rugs, it's interesting because it's a very e-commerce topic, but they were also like a startup in the meaning of smaller teams, etc. So when they approached us was like, okay, we need something which we can deploy very fast and so on. So it was a natural fit. On the other hand, the interesting thing is, as soon as we started to release also our AI capabilities, I remember they had one topic with our AI, because the AI identifies, for example, special audiences in the website or in the app. And it was interesting because the AI in less than 24 hours was identifying, for example, a specific audience about designers, about rugs based on designers. I'm not so rug expert, so sorry for that. And the interesting thing is, the first comment was like, oh wait, this is the audience we have been thinking about. This is super useful. This is exactly, and again, it's really because there is the data. And the interesting part around personalization is that we are right now in the moment, and also quoting Forrester, personalization is broken, has been always broken. And the DXP have personalization, but it's never working because it's very manual. It's broken per se. And we have been solving that problem at Ninetale, and now through the acquisition at Contentful, we can accelerate this solution.
I think the thing about personalization, and I've been involved in the DXP and content space for a very long time, is that there's a truth about personalization. If you walked into a room of 100 people, or if I was to ask each of you individually what personalization means, I would expect to get a different answer from every one of you, because it means different things to different people. So actually being very opinionated about what we as Contentful think of and present personalization with a clarity that helps our customers understand, what we mean by personalization and where the value proposition is for you, how that brings value into your business. So, Charlotte, Andy talked a little bit there about segmentation and customers and personalization and right messaging, right time, and audiences. With your retail experience with Reese and Nails Inc. Nails Inc. Can you give us some insights from a marketer's perspective?
Yeah, of course. I think I'll probably start with Nails Inc. Right. So I think personalization is a buzzword, right, that's been around for 12 years, 30, as long as I've been doing this, we've always talked about personalization. And actually, as I've moved through several different brands, it's very different based on who you are as a business. And for Nails Inc., personalization was, I joined them during COVID. So actually, they were really, really heavy in terms of, they had a load of salons, and obviously all of those closed down overnight pretty much. And for anyone who gets their nails done regularly, I'm a diehard nail fan, always have been, always will be. My one-to-one relationship with my nail tech is like next to none. She probably knows my deepest, darkest secrets. And that's what our customers had. They were really kind of bought into that element of personalization. So they would go and sit down at a nail salon and they'd have a lovely experience. She would know Z customer inside out, and that was what was bought in. All of that changed overnight. So it was really about how the hell do we get that from here to there? And we were never going to fix it, right? But there were elements that we used to do personalisation. So we weren't sat on massive data pools of knowing who Charlotte is, knowing what colour. I'm boring. I will have dark in the winter. I will have a French, or occasionally go this weird pink if I'm feeling really rogue. Don't sell me Christmas nails. Don't sell me Halloween nails. Don't tell me any of the stuff that I don't want to do. Purely show me basically the nail polish that I'm going to use and how long it's going to last. So we then started to create ranges based on, I always have gel, and therefore we would push gel products. So during COVID, it was very much like we're sat on thousands and thousands of customers globally, and we've got no idea how to talk to them. So we started with really basic personalisation, batch and blast, and then let's just see what people fundamentally wanted. And then from there, we started to tailor these experiences. So actually, the emails that I would get, and we were really, really heavily discounting because we had no choice at that point. It was all about just growing sales as much as we could, because obviously we'd lost bricks and mortar. Was about taking that data and ensuring that the comms that were then sent out were really relevant, basic personalisation. And then that evolved. So it was more about, when you come online, when I go into the salon, I might dabble with different shades of nude if I'm feeling really excited. But it was about how do I get that online? So what does that translate to? How can I then almost have a picture of my hand with a nail colour on top that would then purchase the nail polish? And then it was about how do we make sure that when I come back to the website, because I'm not visiting every week, like I just don't need it, how do we then tailor an experience that's very much, Char's back, her nail polish has run out, we know it's been 3 weeks, she's done 5 amount of coats because it's shipping every 5 minutes because she's at home and she's cleaning, and therefore what does that personalised experience look like? So it wasn't what I would call the most best-in-class personalisation, but it was all about ensuring that, again, from a marketing perspective, right product, right time. We were spending so much in terms of, we were spending so much on marketing of just doing generic ads, but then it was, again, about breaking down, segmenting, making sure that we had different pools based on different audiences to ensure that they were seeing the right ads at the right time. And they've come a long way since then. Reiss is kind of a different kettle of fish. So Reiss was very, very, very heavy in store. So they had this experience. It was if you were a VIP customer and you spent over a certain amount, you were black book. Like, you knew exactly who the customer service advisor was. They knew exactly how you wanted to dress. They knew if you were coming in for your winter party, your summer wardrobe, basically this one-to-one relationship. So when I joined Reiss, I was like, what the hell are we doing? Like, why are we not getting this level of personalisation online? Like, meet and greet is phenomenal, but we can still do that from a digital experience. So we took the data based on what we knew from all of the stores around the UK and put that into basically our CRM or our digital platform and started to create digital personalised experiences. So it started, again, really basic. So we'd have, if you came onto the website, we'd ask you whether you were a man or a woman, and then we would show you men's clothes or women's clothes. And then from there, it started to get more granular. So they knew if I was a size 8 and I typically wore trousers and a blouse, that experience would be very much based on how I was shopping. And then that evolved into a very similar way to kind of how Net-a-Porter do it, like a Reiss wardrobe. So if you'd previously purchased X, Y, and Z, you would then be shown products based on basically previous purchase or browse experience or what other people were doing. So they then started to create this kind of 360 digital experience that, again, was based purely on behaviour. And then that evolved as we kind of brought children into it. So now when I shop, I now have a terror of a 4-year-old. I now get served a homepage that's split half and half. So now it's very much around, this is what Charlotte's previously bought, but this is also how she wants to dress Louis. Not that he ever wears it. So it's then very much based around the whole experience is very much tailored based on how I've previously shopped and how they think I'd want to shop moving forward.
Yeah. So the themes that I'm hearing commonly across the Nails Inc. thing and the Reiss is that agility, that ability to sort of, take what you have in terms of a content underpinning and then funnel that through a personalization thing that's incrementally adapting and improving.
And it's also it's the strategy behind it, right? So it's not as simple as kind of, here you go, this is what I'll always buy. It's ensuring that we were constantly taking data trends. We would have customer profiles and then we would mirror them against lookalike. So this is what Shah's wearing this summer. This is also what Mary, I was going to say Joe, I don't know, 3 examples of other people. And then also how we would cross-sell, upsell. So then we would start to basically like test whether there was interest in what we thought would be things that I would be interested in. And then we would test that via paid ads, we test it in store because obviously that relationship was already there. We had personal shoppers, so we kind of continued to push that real one-to-one experience that people just like from an in-store experience, alongside all of our email comms. So it was very much around like a test and learn experience to bring it to life.
Fantastic. Rachel, turning to you, E.ON Next, energy provider, actually my energy provider. So talk to us a little bit about your customer, you know, the way that you interact with customers, because it's very different from, I would imagine, from the retail experience, but in the same way you have the same considerations around how you interact with customers, making sure they get the right offers in front of them. So maybe you could talk us through what you're doing at the moment.
Yeah, sure. So the customers of E.ON Next are very varied, as you would imagine. Everybody needs energy. So we've got a huge variation of customers. It's not appropriate to show all of those customers the same offers or marketing material. So, I mean, I mentioned earlier customers who are in debt. I think in general, customers who are more vulnerable, we have to be sensitive to that. We have to be empathetic towards it and make sure that their digital experience is tailored towards their sort of experience of life. And it wouldn't be appropriate, as I said before, to be pitching things like heat pumps to somebody that's having a hard time. So previously we had prior to Contentful actually, quite a manual way of updating our marketing content towards customers. Everybody pretty much saw the same thing. Now we use the attributes that we know about our customers, so the data that we have on them. So that might be their tariff type, their payment type, whether or not they're in debt, how much credit you might be in addition to where you're situated as well in the country, to push them the right content. And for me, personalisation is a lot about the right message or the right kind of experience in the right place at the right time to the right people. And it's really getting that right. Have I said something funny?
No.
It's kind of a tired message, isn't it? But it's so true. And it's getting that right, which really helps us. So now we have relevant marketing messages pushed to the right customers in the right places at the right time. And using a tool like Contentful as well means that we're far less reliant on our development team. So we don't need to go to a software developer and say, oh, we need you to change this message. It can all be handled by marketing, which means that we can also be reactive to what's happening in the market around us. The energy or utilities sort of space is quite competitive. There's, unfortunately, the likes of Octopus out there that are pushing messages everywhere. You got on a tube, you see Octopus here, Octopus there. I feel like they're everywhere. So we have to be able to respond and react quickly to that, which we can do with such a tool because the marketing team can just go in and update it straight away. Another thing that we've done recently is with energy savings tips, as you mentioned, as we've come into October and the pricing cap has unfortunately gone up 10%. We wanted to help customers to find ways to better manage their consumption. And so we had this fabulous idea to have a kind of Instagram stories type solution on the main dashboard of the app, which would push useful tips to you each time that you logged in. When I was testing this with customers, I didn't get any feedback about the execution. Seemed to love it, it just worked. The feedback that I got was about the messaging itself. This isn't relevant to me, I rent. Why do I care about, roof insulation? I can't make any differences to my home in that way because I'm renting. It was all that sort of feedback it was about the relevancy of the information, and that's the main thing that we took from the user research that we did and why we decided to put a short questionnaire in there to understand more about the makeup of you and your home so that we're pushing relevant information to customers on that dashboard. And that's really changed then the way in which we interact with our customers, and I think also it makes a big difference to how they view the brand and their trust in the brand, which is, hard earned in the energy space. So very important for us.
It's great insights, and actually we were talking out there earlier, and I actually used your dashboard to choose my new tariff about last week, because it was an email that said, hey, prices are going up, do you want to lock in your tariff? So that on-time messaging really hit me, and I've locked in for another 18 months, so well done. And you missed the joke, the octopus, the tentacles are everywhere. You missed that one. It was right in front of you. It's right in front of you. You can have that. That's for free. So I just want to come down the panel. We're going to sort of try and wrap this up because we've had some great insights. I want to come down the panel one at a time. So, what advice would you give to marketers looking to embark upon that personalisation journey? I'm going to ask you a slightly different question, Andy, but for you, Charlotte, it's going to be the same thing. But yeah.
What would be my one piece of advice?
Look, for people who are thinking about embarking on a personalisation journey, but maybe feel that it's a little bit too heavy, it's a little bit too much of a heavy lift. What advice would you say?
Just don't overcomplicate it. I think the key to any of my digital strategy has always just been test and learn. I think if you have an understanding of who your customer is to begin with, that's key. Whether that's creating customer profiles or segmenting the current data that you already have, and then just taking it really slow. I think everyone benchmarks themselves against Amazon. Amazon are just such a beast. I actually don't think their personalization is that great because I'm inundated with things that I actually don't want to buy. But I think to Rachel's point, it was spot on. It's right message, right time. And I think I just think be brave with it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You just try, keep moving on. It's just a consistency of trying something new and seeing what sticks.
Cool. Andy, your question is slightly different because as an innovator in the personalisation space who actually built the platform, I want to come at it from a slightly different angle. Is where do you see the innovations in personalisation tools being, and what when you give it to the marketers, what sort of things are you looking at giving them?
And, just before I answer that, it's really about what we have heard. It's really about starting as soon as possible, and it's really about the simple thing about the right message at the right moment to the right audience, to the right person, and it's very simple, but at the end it's very complex. Or it sounds complex, and I think that's a part. It's really about starting. And right now, if we look into innovation, I will say it. Nobody has said it. AI, it's coming, and AI is going to change a lot about how we're able really to solve the problem of personalization, and really to be able to generate these experiences, kind of on the fly. And I was thinking about also what you were saying about how important you understand the business, and as marketeer you know your audiences, and that's an important part also. If we look into AI, we're having a lot of AI agents around different parts of the personalization loop. So identifying audiences, generating the content, identifying insights. But the important part is also how you put the people in the loop, because AI is dumb, I will say it, but if you feed the AI with the right data, with the right context, so what's the tone of your brand, what's the kind of messages you're giving, what's the kind of localization, and so on, and if you have a platform like Contentful, which enables these kind of things, it's really that's kind of innovation around personalization, or even around how we embrace websites, apps also in the next 5 to 10 years.
So it's a bit of a two-part question for you, Rachel, because you have an AI chatbot that you're developing at Eon Next. So if you could touch upon that would be great. And then obviously the question about, approaching personalization as a marketer, what would be your approach there?
Yeah. Yes, we are working on an AI chatbot. I think in general, in the digital world, we want to make journeys as seamless as possible, as frictionless as possible, with as few steps as possible. We all as consumers now expect things to be fed to us that are, yes, relevant, but also quick, and we have shrinking attention spans. So our AI chatbot is helping customers to find the information they need when they need it, rather than having to log into yet another account, navigate, where do I find my bill? Why is it this amount? Why has that changed over time? There's lots of questions that are generated, and to try and find the answers can be a bit of a minefield when really you just want to talk to someone and have that answer quickly. And that's what our AI chatbot is doing. It's kind of trained, it's fed lots of data, as you've mentioned, about not only our accounts, but also the typical reasons why customers call up the kinds of conversations that customers are having with our energy specialists. It's learning all about that so it can replicate them online to those that want it. So it's a very exciting project to be working on. As for advice about personalisation, I would advise to be empathetic towards the customer and consider the offline journey. So for example, the stage of life that the customer's at in the energy world. If you're a student taking out your first energy contract, your experience will need to be quite different versus a larger family who's bought and settled into their home, considering like the season that we're in, so that you can make the messages seasonal. Everything that happens outside of actually when they open up the app needs to feed into the kind of messaging and how you present that messaging to the customer. So consider what's happening outside of the digital journey to make what's inside the digital journey as relevant as possible, in addition to being empathetic to the kind of customer that you're talking to, whether or not, for example, in my case, we have a lot of vulnerable customers. So yeah, I think that would be my advice.
Fantastic, thank you. Well, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your attention. I've always believed that content is the underpinning of great digital experiences. When you can overlay that with personalization and understand how personalization is going to bring value to your customers first and foremost, then it brings value to you as a sort of reflected benefit, and we can help you understand that. So I'd like to say thank you to my panelists. We're at time. Charlotte, Andy, Rachel, thank you very much. And let's get ready to bake.
So I hope you enjoyed coming on this little journey to Contentful Does Bake Off with us today. And if you enjoyed it and you would like to be one of the bakers or get involved with some of our more immersive events, I would love for you to get in touch with me by contacting me directly. I'm actually going to put our hello@street.agency email here. So hello@street.agency, and come and join us at one of these immersive events. They are exclusively for brand leaders only. They're not about sales. They're very immersive. So sorry, no agencies, no tech companies. They are usually hosted by a tech company. But we bring together C-suite and senior level marketing, digital and e-commerce leaders to come and discuss the future of marketing and technology. And I would love for you to be with us.